Welcome to On Air with Kash. Today we are talking to Cortney Palm, Jade Elysan, and Jeffrey Grover. They are the stars of the new film, Cents From A Pariah, directed by Chris Emmons, available to watch now on Amazon. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
I just saw the film the other night. It's a fantastic story. It centers on your character, Jeffrey. You're a life coach. Something starts to slowly unravel. You find yourself in a compromising situation. 1 minute is directed at your character, Jade. Cortney, you come in. Who's this mystery person? What's going to be exposed? And the interesting thing, I was actually talking to Chris, the director, and he said that he wrote each of these roles with each of you specifically in mind for these roles. So when you have a role that's written specifically for you, what's your approach to taking on it?
Well, I don't know. I feel like Chris is a mind reader or he's just psychic in some way, because there's things he wrote about the character that I have experienced in my own life that I was just like, how do you know this, Chris? What do you mean? I think every time I kind of attack a role, I always feel like there's some part of me that I keep, because then it becomes an authentic performance. So you have to find some little element that you can pull from your own life to sort of integrate into your character that you're developing, the fears or the traumas or whatever it is that makes a person, who they are. And so, you pull from that. And like, if something doesn't really fully relate, I could probably give something away. So what can I pull from that makes me feel like I've experienced that to make it really real and read on camera? So you kind of pull from things that are like evoke a similar emotion from you. And Chris is just genius with his writing. So it's really just easy, I guess, when you're working with talented people.
And with Chris too, right? He like you said, you went into your mind. That was really beautiful, Cortney. I love that. I do. I love that process. You're so right. It's pulling from what we experience in our life that really allows it to come into our cells and like the energy to basically like flow through us so that it's not manufactured, just like Cortney said. And what's interesting is most dominatrixes play like therapists to their clients. It's not very sexually based. A lot of dominatrix actually have resentful emotions towards men. And some are actually very, I would say, introverted, and they use this as a power position as well. And it's interesting because when Chris said that he had me in mind for this particular role, and he felt like it was this original, unique idea of his, I had actually been cast as a dom in the series Bonding, which had just come out, which I had just filmed like 4 months before he offered me the script to read for this. And I said, oh, it's so funny. I played a dom. He's like, no, I wanted it to be original. I was like, yours is original. You thought of me for this. They ended up seeing me as that. So I guess I come off as this vixen-y type person, but I don't see myself as that at all, because I'm very spiritual and I love men. So
Jade, I've watched your YouTube videos and your insight. I really like your advice that you give about being in the industry, your body of work, including Rami, the Hulu series, which is Golden Globe nominated. I mean, you've had such a wide range of roles. With this specific role as Emiliana in Cents From A Pariah, Jeffrey, your character, when you first confront her, it's for a client. And even in that first encounter, Jade, you do give some, what you're saying, where a dominatrix is like a therapist. You do, I don't want to say like you predict what's going to happen, but you throw out a few words of wisdom of where the story is going to go. And you brought a lot of that to your character, Emiliana.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because I had worked with Chris on a previous short film, which had to do with alcohol addiction. So it was a very deep film as well. Everything he does is very deep. And when he brought me in and I met Jeff the first time, first of all, Jeff, I hope that you're okay. Cause I remember I had to like actually hit you.
I wanted you to hit me as hard as you wanted.
I know. I remember that. I was like,
it's like,
I felt so bad. Yeah, Chris did a fantastic job with the whole like casting with all of us. And he didn't know that I had lived abroad for when I was studying in college. I lived in Kensington Gardens. So I was able to do a British accent. He actually wasn't planning to do that, I think, until set. And at first it was a little tricky for me because I just had thyroid surgery 3 months before that. And so I wasn't sure where my range was going to go. And I'm thankful that I was still able to pull it off with that.
I had worked with Chris in a short as well. that was actually when I first met him a few years ago. It was at the now defunct, I think it's the 14th Street Coffee Shop or something. It's at 15th. It's where all the models used to work on Union Square. And anyway, that's long gone. But my memory of Chris was, who's this guy? He had a little earring and he was kind of cool. And he was talking about this short film called Roebling's Bridge. What's that? It's about the Brooklyn Bridge, John Roebling. But it wasn't about that. And the reason I mention it is it was more a story about a father and a son and his daughter-in-law and how the bridge evolved. The story was really what Chris took was the idea of the people behind it. So an icon suddenly is melted away into something that's very human and very accessible. So when you talked about the script, to your point, because he's worked with both of you before as well, certainly, he had this idea. And just Chris probably said this, but, and I'll just say what I wanted to refer to was a presentation we made of Roebling's Bridge. And there were 100 people in the audience, and they were like really grooving on the fact that this movie was about John Roebling. Wow, this is so great. Well, during the talk back, somebody asked a question, and I'm like, I'm used to public speaking because I used to be in a sales and marketing capacity. So I was always used to speaking in front of people. And not that I ever had much to say that was very intelligent, but you know, you try to be, you know, true to what you're saying. And I was just talking to them, and Chris said, Jeff, when I was driving back, I thought about this character, this guy that was able to hold an audience because everybody was leaning forward and you were challenging them, asking them questions. And you also revealed, but you didn't fully, you made sure that they had to earn it. And he said there was something in that that motivated him to start to write about this guy. So naturally, when he said I had this script, it was fairly dense at first. And I mean, it wasn't what ultimately became what it is, but it had the inkling of it basically from that moment. So Chris takes from you, Cortney, and from you, Jade, from me, some personal aspects. Maybe he is clairvoyant, who knows? But he also knows what we can make real. And I think that's probably an advantage when you have somebody like that writing. And then the chemistry was with Cortney particularly because we shot that first. I don't want to, you know, Chris says don't give away a spoiler, so I won't give it away, but there's something about the characters that intertwine.
What I loved about your character, Jeff, with Cortney was I felt like when you had your beard, which I don't want to give away too much, but there were the scenes with you two that just felt so grounded and intense, but I'm not going to say any more than that. And it was very captivating. You both held the screen, which I really loved about. And I love being in a film, in a production with really fantastic actors. So kudos to both of you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Watching you, Jade, I mean, your scene, I thought everything involving your scene, like from the costumes to the set design to like your interaction with Jeff, it was my favorite scenes besides mine, of course, but it was really captivating. It was well written and it was just really well executed from you two and just so intimate. And like Jeff said, knock on the door, man, I'd be there too. I'd be like, let me in, please. I need some guidance. So very well done.
Beautifully shared, Cortney. Yeah, totally. I always feel this way. And I could see it with you both too, that we're just always evolving and growing to be better with our craft. And I'm sure Kash could like really feel that for himself as well, right? With acting and with what you're doing too with this amazing show.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that, Jay. This started was when the pandemic happened and we started, a lot of people were doing stuff live. I had been really getting into podcasts and I just really enjoyed the conversation and the dialogue, just really getting to know people and other artists whose work that I admired. And this is my first time getting the full cast of a movie on there. So all of our viewers, yes, this is like the first time we've had 4 guests on at once.
That's super cool.
I have a question for you. I think it's no secret that independent films always have a life that's kind of built either because they're really well financed or a lot of independent films are done lower, you know, for low budget, different budgets. So one of the questions that I always ask myself, and this is something I wanted to say, just was in a play about 20 or so years ago, and the director said to the cast, first reading, he said, I want to make a point. If you come to the theater and you don't know why you're here, I want you to leave. Because he said, every night we're doing it was a play called The Exonerated. He said, if you don't know your reason, And if your reason is it's a vanity project or something else, he says, I don't, as talented as you may be, I don't want you in the ensemble. And it really made me think about the idea of, regardless of the venue or the size of a film or a play or what have you, is if the writer has a reason for creating it and there's a story and you honor the story and the characters are contributing to it and the characters are subordinate to the story because it's about the story and it's not about us, it's about enabling an audience to go on a journey, which is my point in a minute, so that they can make their own judgment without necessarily interpreting or thinking that it's Cortney or Jade or Jeff. We're secondary. It's really how do they identify and what is it that helps them consider. The reason I mention that is the story to me has a pretty clear reason for being. And I know that there is, I think it's referred to maybe in the trailer, at some level I think people might be able to understand part of it has to do with redemption, which is a through line. But my question is, how do you take a small independent film, although it's a feature-length film, with really good talent, and it does have really good talent, front, behind, back, forward, all of it. How do we get the story? You sensed it, Kash, because you saw it. You know, the idea of a case, it resonates, where you're able to look at it and say that there's something that you could relate to. How do we translate that so that the average person who doesn't necessarily know about it, because it's not getting advertised on, you know, these huge platforms, how do we get them to give it a shot? What do you think? I'm curious, because this is the world we're in with this particular film. Kash, just curious.
And I've worked on all areas of the industry. I've been on the agency side, the publicity side, the producing side, the acting side. And I started when I was about 15. So it's what worked 15 years ago is so different now. I remembered when I was starting to come up, the blockbuster videos were going away and you go on Netflix or Amazon and there's movies that I'd never heard of because of, what you're saying. I found so many great movies on Netflix and streaming. And in this movie particular, I need a good story. I need characters that I feel for. Now I just think there's more possibilities than ever. And I think if you have something good, and a lot of it does come to the promotion and the publicity side. We had a few projects that came out during the pandemic and we weren't able to give proper premieres. But, I understand the circumstances. But I do think that, like what you're a theater director was saying on that particular project, it's just if really know your reason for being here. If this is something you're really passionate about, go for it, give it your all. Big believer in teamwork. I'm a big believer in just hard work, and then material's got to be good regardless. Cortney was really one of the first, when I was really at a crossroads. I'd had a few things that I didn't know how to go through. I was watching what Cortney was doing with her career, and she had just done Sushi Girls, on Beavers was coming out, and then she was filming Death House. And then Cortney was really like a great friend and a true inspiration for me to just really like, okay, I see the potential here and where we can go, and getting exposure for our projects and supporting our team.
Thank you.
That was awesome. 100,000% yes to everything. And in addition is just believing in what we do. I'm so proud of this film. I've been telling everybody. I tell people at Pilates. I tell people at the grocery store. I tell everybody about it. And a lot of people are watching it, which is amazing. Something that I was incredibly proud of. So to add on to what you shared, Jeff, it's that, and you have your sales and marketing background, so it should be easy for you to.
And I want to make this point. Chris said something to me because we're friends, and we talked, and I said, "So what do you think?" And he said, "Jeff, for example, think about this. Like you guys all know, you know the movie Fargo. So the first time I saw it, I was like, what the hell is this? But of course, the Coen brothers, so you're going to go along with it. And you're going to see the talent, and you're going to realize Frances McDormand. It's going to be amazing, right? Chris said, for a film like ours, and again, people have to buy it, rent it. We're doing this with you, Kash, because you're a great guy. But we also want people to be like kind of excited to see Jade and Cortney, right? And the other talent is really awesome. Everybody's really good in this thing. There's several really talented actors in it. But the idea is, Chris said, people. If I were Scorsese or if I were somebody like the Coen brothers or something, obviously they're going to go and trust the story and let it evolve. He said, I don't want to be those people, but I'm Christopher Carson Emmons, and I know that people don't necessarily know me yet. And they may not know you, Jeff, and they may not know, although Cortney has certainly, and Jade have a lot of prominence, But the point is, they have to trust the fact that this is going to evolve, and they have to let it marinate, and they have to go with it as the audience, because people are used to this short attention span. You
Right.
talked about your podcast during COVID, Kash, you know, when you're talking about the idea of like Chris and I were talking, people's attention span is like, entertain me, man.
Mhm.
Trust the fact, if you're listening and watching this, if you give it a chance, and you have to give it a chance so that you are able to see everybody on the screen, all of us.
I know that anybody who does watch it, to add on to that, Jeff, is it's almost like you can't stop watching it. Like once you turn it on, you're gonna want to watch it. Everybody's fantastic.
It was beautifully shot, and there was a lot of really, really thoughtful actors involved. It's nice to see it all come together on the screen, and I think that should promote or should prompt audience viewers to want to watch it, so that they can just really see like how a ton, like a big ensemble cast, can come together and create something really magical.
I just want to say, among all, it's a good movie. I really enjoyed it. The characters are layered. It's an interesting story. You could tell Chris really cared about the story. He puts thought into what he does. He cares about his characters. He wants to entertain his audience as well. I felt like every frame of this movie, there was a purpose for it. I had to know what was going to happen. I wanted to see what was unraveled. And again, just even what Jeffrey had brought up earlier about getting stuff out there. I mean, I think we have a time better than ever where things are accessible. My friend Mika Borum, she directed me in this film about 5 years ago, and it just came out on Amazon Prime. And so we've done some interviews, and she has business cards that have the QR code on, like, you know, like when you go to the restaurant, you just scan it. Basically, we'll be at an event, she just gives people the card, and they give you your business card, and you can literally just scan it with your phone and watch a movie. There's so many different ways to get stuff out there, and I'm really proud of all of you. I mean, the story was fascinating, and I was entertaining. You all delivered brilliant performances.
Gosh, what's the name of the movie you're in that you're talking
Oh,
about?
that one, it's actually called Hollywood.com. It's which I only have it's a quick cameo. I was filming a movie that day, and Mika's one of my oldest friends too. We've known each other forever. So she had a lot of people having cameos in it. Like she got Billy Bob to do a cameo. Tom Arnold's in it as well. And Tom and I, we were working on a movie at the same time that this was happening. So it was just interesting. And then both of those movies came out on Amazon around the same time. So you'll see me as the agitated barista near the end of the movie. It's right. But it's kind of Mika's an actress. It's not working out too well. So she comes across an idea and becomes the producer, and she goes internationally. It's like they filmed some of it in Guatemala, some of it in the South, and they came back. So it's an adventure comedy, but it's called Hollywood.com if you want to check it out.
Maybe we
Cool.
could do a 2 for 1. They could rent yours, and
Yes.
they could rent ours, and they can get free popcorn.
Exactly. Yes.
Have a Saturday movie night.
And for my last 2 cents, pretty good, wasn't it? Dos centavos. See, there were 2 cents when Jade, you gave me a ride in your car when we wrapped, because you had driven in, and I got out of my car, and there was a lane. It was down in Soho, wherever the hell we were, and I went to open my door. You had an SUV or something, some kind of an SUV, and I'm on the passenger side. I go to open the door, and of course there are cars going by, but I saw something, and I went to pick up this penny. Okay, it was a 2-cent penny.
Shut the front door.
What?
Right? I told you at the time. It was a 2-cent penny. And I thought, whoa, because you don't see those very often, right?
Never.
And it was like, huh. And that's when I thought, I'm very serious about this. Thought there's something here, and it's not going to happen in a minute. You got to stay, and you got to stay with it. You got to believe in it. You got to keep doing we got to come back tomorrow and do something else, and the next project or the next audition. This is done. But we did really good work with this. And I felt that, and I think I gave it to Chris. I'm pretty sure I did, or I put it somewhere and I forgot now. But I definitely saw it because it was with you, Jade. Is this film deserves, for all of us, the light of day. And as I said, the story itself, if you think about redemption, that's a through line for anybody. And when do we have an opportunity ultimately to earn that? And I'm sorry, that's not a spoiler. That's part of what we're selling here.
Yeah.
So everybody, I could see this having a relationship to.
Cortney, Jade, Jeffrey, thank you so much for your time today. Everyone, after you finish this interview, go on Amazon and rent 2 Cents From A Pariah, starring this incredible cast we just chatted with. My goodness, Jeffrey, Jade, Cortney, I just admire you all so much. You all delivered magnificent performances, and I can't wait to see what's next for all of you. And just really, congratulations on 2 Cents from a Pariah. This was a brilliant movie. You all were incredible, and I really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed talking with all of you today. This was such a great time.
So
Yes,
much fun.
thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much for rocking out with me and the cast of 2 Cents from a Pariah. You are on air with Kash.